On this episode of Star Trek Universe, we are talking Picard 201, The Stargazer, right after these words from our mystery sponsors.
Welcome to Star Trek Universe, a podcast where you get to listen in on the continuing Star Trek conversation the two lifelong friends have been having since they were 6 years old. My name is Matthew Carroll.
I'm David C. Robertson.
Dave, how you doing, bud?
I'm all right, man. I'm a little tired. My back is all jacked up, so I didn't actually sleep very much. And then I was like, this is my life where like my alarm goes off and I'm like, well, gotta wake up, gotta go watch Picard so I can cast.
Yep.
Instead of going to like a real job.
Yeah, it's like, not that this pays.
No.
It's just like, gotta go make the donuts. but it's like, gotta go make the podcasts. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Yeah, dude. Absolutely. What a life, though. What a life we get to live, that we get to, have part of our day be watching a Star Trek thing and talking about it here on the podcast.
Right.
And today, I gotta say, is a great day. This episode lit my brain up in so many good ways. It reminded me of classic Trek so much. And by classic Trek, I mean some of my favorite era of Trek.
You mean TNG?
No, actually.
Really?
This reminded me of Star Trek 6, actually. Like the way they shot the ship. The way they shot the corridors, the way they shot the crew. It reminded me so much of, and I don't know, the way these are like old friends getting back together to be on the ship again. They're not really officially on the ship, having these, it's like, it didn't feel like anything from kind of the series. It felt like a movie. It felt, and the way they even just shot the bridge crew, I don't know what they did, but the look of the film looked like Star Trek 6 to me, or even maybe Star Trek Generations, like just the sort of the way they shot it. I don't know. Even like the people running around, grabbing weapons at the beginning reminded me of like, I don't know, some of those like fight sequences in some of the older Trek films. And, but it was cool because it combined that with the, a lot of this newer stuff. And spoiler alert, getting into it, but this is how you bring back the Borg. Like, I have not been interested in the Borg. Like, the Borg are always going to be something that I care about, but nothing they've done with them in a long time I've cared too much. But like, this was intriguing. First off, calling out Picard, always cool, because the Borg have this relationship with Picard. Then they are, asking for peace, which is something we've never seen. And like, just immediately you're thrust into this wonderful, like, argument between Seven. Like, Seven is the one who is like, on few seconds before is like, yeah, there's just all these old tensions about the Borg and all this old racism. And then as soon as the Borg are like, let's have peace, she's like, kill them all.
Yes, that was hilarious. She was like, I don't understand why they don't accept me because I'm a Borg. Wait, it's a Borg, kill it.
Yes, exactly. And I kind of bristled because I was like, man, I kind of wanted the story to pick up where it left off. But then like, I just found myself incredibly interested where all these characters are now. Rios has gotten over his fear of the Federation. Seven is kind of living this life on the ship with
La Serena.
Yeah, La Serena, with the crew that has been condensed into one hollow. She says that she combined the hollows, and so that is so much fun. the hollow was great.
That was a little mind-numbing for me. I was like,
why?
I don't know. Maybe it's just because maybe it's because I've gotten lazy. When I was young, and I used to watch Star Trek, I would love when they would speak in other languages and I'd have to read it. And I'm like, God, this is like real sci-fi. And now I'm like old and I'm like, I don't want to read.
Just give me English or give me death.
Like, I'll happily sit and read a book for several hours.
Right.
But I don't want to read if I'm watching TV.
Yeah, I'm trying to lay back here. I will say
no, it's fine.
I don't mind the reading. I will say he spoke very quickly, and the subtitles moved a little fast.
Yeah. I do miss all the versions of him, the different versions. I liked seeing him portray all of those different versions.
I did too. I loved that, and I'm going to miss that if they don't bring it back. Mm-hmm. And it brought up questions of the morality of holograms again, because this Emmett seems to fully have some sort of sentience. Like, he seems very excited to fight. He seems, and maybe that's just his programming, but like, we know from the Doctor that like there is sentience is possible in these holograms, and this is even 20 years later. So I just got to imagine there's a possibility of sentience there, and she's just like, yeah, just combined all 7 of you guys. Like, you guys be the same person. That feels like a weird decision. I guess maybe he was part of it. I'll headcanon that he agreed to it.
Yeah. Which, I don't know if you've taken note. We do have a new showrunner this year. Is Terry Matalas. Last year was Michael Chabon. And Terry Matalas just posted this thing. He posted an excerpt from an interview with Patrick Stewart, where Patrick is talking about how great it's been to work on this show. They're just wrapping up season 3 in production. And he's like, I am working with crew members who who watched Next Generation and were really like deep into that. And then like Terry like just showed that picture of that piece of interview and said, "It's me." And then I didn't know this. I didn't even realize this because I guess I'm a bad podcaster. I don't pay attention to the news quite enough. But I noticed on the opening credits, Mark Bernardin is a supervising producer on the show now.
Oh, neat.
From Fat Man Beyond.
Yeah, I know Mark Bernardin. That's great. He's done good stuff so far. Like, I've liked the things I've seen that he's done and been a part of. So that's cool. That's real cool.
And when he started co-hosting with Kevin on Fat Man on Batman, one of the first things that like they talked about that made me go, oh, was he was working for like Entertainment Weekly or something, and they had him do like a countdown, like the 100 best Star Trek episodes, and he was like going throughout all of the series, and he just knew that shit. And I was like,
that's pretty cool.
And as I've listened to the show, I'm like, dude, he's actually a pretty adept writer. Like,
oh yeah,
and he's started to write for real now, and I'm just really excited that he's involved creatively here.
What a fun way to become a writer. Like, he basically became a writer by like doing live writer's room activities with Kevin Smith on the podcast. Mm-hmm. Like, someone would ask like, what would you do? What would you do if you were given a Star Trek movie or whatever? Like and he would like spitball the idea right there on the show. And that just being good at that got him in the room with Kevin, which made him write with Kevin a few times, which got him, he became a writer of note by like literally kind of doing the writer's room in front of us all, which is interesting. And I like his takes. I always, when I hear his, he's a fan, and he's a fan who really cares about character. So yeah, I'm down. I think that's really cool. And yeah, I think this episode, man, I love it. I absolutely loved it. I have my worries, but I cannot say a bad thing about the first episode.
I can.
Yeah, go for it. Say all the bad things.
We talked about it a couple of weeks ago, I think, on Discovery. I don't like the in medias res. I don't like starting in the middle and then going back to the beginning. Like, oh, here's all the shit's coming at you. Oh, what's happening is chaos. 48 hours earlier. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that, which it's a way to get you into it, especially if you're beginning is slow.
Right.
Which this one was.
That is why they did that.
I know.
And I know that I totally understand why they did that. I don't love that either, but it also, that is what gave me that like sort of Star Trek 6, Star Trek Generations feeling, was all that is just like Starfleet crew grabbing weapons, running around the ship, like looking, I don't know, it reminded me of some just classic Trek, and that did get me feeling like I was in the world, which was nice. But therein lies the rub, though, and that what your worry about the beginning of this episode is basically my worry about the rest of the season, which is I really like Star Trek to move forward, and I generally like stories to move forward, in time. Time is the final frontier,
Well, I guess you just have to catch up like Guinan. Narratively.
Yeah.
Or Q later on.
Exactly.
It's interesting, though, that you keep saying that it looked like Star Trek 6 or Star Trek Generations. To me, those look like two totally different movies, like in cinematography and the way the camera moves. But to me, what I was thinking of was Star Trek Nemesis. Not in terms of all the bad stuff, but just like the way the camera was moving down the corridors, like the grabbing of the weapons, like the darkness levels, like the light levels really felt like First Contact or Nemesis.
The ship itself, like the lighting in the ship looks more like that. But something about the way, I don't know what it is, the way they chose the distance from the camera to the subject and like the amount of blur and the amount of depth of focus and stuff, something about it. I just watched it and I just felt like I was suddenly, I think it was just, it also may be like what Starfleet is. We have not been on a Starfleet vessel in a while. You know what I mean? Like even on Discovery, yes, we're on a Starfleet vessel, but it's like, we're on a Starfleet vessel out on the raggedy edge, restarting Starfleet. This is like Starfleet at the height of its powers. And we haven't been in that sort of like, I don't know, it feels safe somehow. Like you feel like when the fleet started showing up to be with that Borg cube, I was like, oh, right. We're not in a world where Starfleet doesn't exist, or we're not in a world where we're the only ship that can go as fast as we can go. Like this was a world that like, hey, we're in trouble. 15 ships show up. Like, that just, somehow it felt nice. It felt safe. It felt like I was in Starfleet. And last season with Picard, they're on the La Serena. La Serena, am I saying that right?
La Serena, yeah.
Yeah. And they're out, again, on the raggedy edge. They're all sort of like doing this sort of like, we're on the outer rim, Star Wars, Firefly thing lately, it feels like. And this just starting the way it did felt like, I'm in the Federation again. Like this feels like the Federation.
And that what was so fun to me is that, they've been saying like, we're, wrapping season 3 and they're showing all these pictures of like command chairs and like bridge design and stuff. And I'm like, I want to see that stuff. I don't want to go back in time.
Yeah.
And now it's like the first episode. I'm like, oh, they're on the Stargazer and all of this stuff is here. So they're not really spoiling anything for season 3. Because like a few weeks ago, I was like, man, I want to see season 3. I don't even care about season 2 anymore.
Right.
But, now that's what was happening is they were on the Stargazer.
But the point you're making is a point that I'm worried about season 2, because yes, this was all beautiful. I love this episode. And I'm so excited. The idea of the Borg wanting peace and not knowing what's going to happen and like really being on the edge of the future.
You know how the Borg are, though. They're like, we will give you peace after we've assimilated you.
Right.
There's nothing more peaceful than the hive mind.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
It's still a different tact for the Borg to take. And then the Borg to show up as that black cloaked figure with like the weird turning dials. Like, it was cool, man. It was real cool. And like it was cool, but in a completely new and different way than the Borg have been in the past. And it was a whole different kind of threat. Like the threat level of the Borg Queen being on one bridge and almost taking over an entire fleet of ships. Like that is crazy.
Yeah. Same time, it looks really cool to have those tendrils coming out and smashing into consoles.
Yeah.
Same time, just like with Lower Decks and their evil computer thing, I'm like, do you not have Wi-Fi? It's the 24th century, century, whatever it is. Do you not have Wi-Fi? Just drain that shit, man. Just drain it.
Well, it's all protected and shit. That's how I think of it. Like, it's all probably coded or whatever.
Yeah, probably. But no, I mean, that's small qualm. I'm playing. You would think they would just have like some sort of like big magnet or something that would just do it. But
right.
Anyway. Yeah, I'm curious. And what the hell was that about, like, the Borg Queen quoting his mom?
Yes.
I mean, I guess he was part of the collective, so she would have those memories?
Yes. That, or he just gave a public speech where he spoke about it.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're about to contact Picard, maybe they know what's going on in his life at that moment.
Or the Borg went back in time and assimilated his mother, creating the problems that he has in his life.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the other thing is we have that shot in his vision of the past of his mother being dragged down a hallway, and we don't know what that's about. So, like, there's a lot of things in this episode about his mother that I just didn't.
We've never gotten into it.
We've never gotten into it, and I love that. I love that there's that mystery, but also, like, I love how they handled it because when the Borg Queen says that, the look on Picard's face, it is him running through his mind trying to figure out how the Borg could know that. And it's like me and you are sitting on the couch doing the same thing. You know what I mean? We're like, wait, okay, he just gave a public speech. Or like you said, like she would have those memories. Or like in the exact moment, the confusion on his face was the exact confusion. I don't know. It's just something about putting me right in the mind of Picard and like I'm running through the same thoughts Picard is running through. I don't know. It's just something evocative about that. I loved it.
Mm-hmm. You know, great. What my favorite thing in the episode was, and this is more than just nostalgia. I love when new things give old things meaning that it didn't previously have.
For sure.
So when he's giving that speech and he says, "My mother used to tell me, look up, let's see what's out there." Dude, I almost cried. Because if you recall in the first episode of TNG, Encounter at Farpoint, at the end, he says, "Let's see what's out there."
That's beautiful. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Oh,
that's really great.
God, help me.
I also liked that. I mean, this episode is really about Picard and his relationship with love to some degree, and his fear of letting people get close. And we knew that his father and mother had a contentious relationship. We knew that from that episode. And we knew they fought. I believe from that episode, whatever. What are you doing?
Opening a can of Coke.
Okay. That seemed like a big struggle.
I was trying to do it quietly. I was trying to do it quietly for the cast, so as not to draw attention.
But
I did the exact opposite.
We're doing a video cast, and so you were like,
I forget that it's the video cast. We don't do that.
By the way, it's our first time putting this out on video. So if you guys like this, if you're watching this on YouTube, please comment and subscribe and let us know.
Why would you like this?
We normally do this on audio, but being such a big episode, we thought we'd throw out the video on YouTube today. So
yeah, big old girthy cock of an episode. Did you just put down a marker, you bastard?
For YouTube, I have to bleep curses, so I wasn't going to cut it out. I was just going to bleep it. So.
I like how you just now answer me by putting down a marker. That you don't even answer me; you just put down a marker.
Oh no, I laughed. That was me getting back into that moment by laughing again, so I could merge the two, which I will do again now. Marker.
Well, now you can't cut any of it.
Oh man. So. I guess I'll say the thing I'm worried about, which I know I've expressed on previous episodes, but like, yeah, I'm so excited about where we are in this episode, and then to go away from that story. Like, I really just wanted this story to continue, and I understand that it probably will. That we'll probably get more of it. It'll probably we see. Yeah, I don't know if you watched the this season on.
Of course,
like. you know, we know we're going to get Borg Queen, the old version of the Borg Queen, but it just kind of feels like I felt like we're literally on the cutting edge of Star Trek. We're on the new frontier, you know, like this is it.
Yeah.
Like Fenris Ranger stuff going on, first Romulan in the Federation, you know, new type of Borg. And then it's like, now let's go visit the past for the rest of the season. And I'm like, what? Like, it just better be good.
Well, now it's got to be an alternate universe.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the past yet.
Well, except it is. Is it like, right? You're right. They're going to find out the alternate universe thing, which we kind of found out the end of this episode. And then they're going to have to go to the past and tell that just kind of well-worn Star Trek story. And I'm a little worried they're just going to solve it all back there and come to the future. And maybe like, you know, we're going to get like what, 10 more minutes of this future. Like, I
don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know.
Did you notice though in the alternate universe when they were showing, they had like a zoom in to this big city, or it was like more like a wide shot. It wasn't really a zoom in. Anyway, there's like a big statue, like a glowing statue. It's totally Data.
Oh,
it's totally Data. It's totally Spiner at the very least.
Cool. Well, maybe it's Spiner. As you know, the father of robotics or whatever, soon.
Yeah.
Because it would make sense. We see an android that's working for Picard on the vineyard or whatever. So yeah, it seems like in this world they did not outlaw synthetics, at least.
Yeah. They've just lifted the ban in the normal reality, so maybe they did in the other, you know, who knows.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, those two data points, like the fact that points.
God, we're lame.
Truth. So true.
Like, data points.
It's really bad. It's a really bad joke that we both made. I don't know. I liked where every character ended up this episode. Mm-hmm. I was very excited about, you know, Rios and Raffi both being back in Starfleet makes sense. They both had their reasons to be away, and they both got resolved last season, and it makes sense that they'd be back. And the Jurati of it all was a little weird. Like, I like this version of Jurati. She feels a lot more confident in herself and a little less fractured like she was last.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, yes, she's not being controlled by some Vulcan mind meld or anything. No one showed her, you know, a horrible apocalyptic future and made her kill her boyfriend this time. But she was pretty drunk and clearly still has issues with Rios. Like,
oh, for sure. She has issues, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. She still seems pretty broken in a lot of ways, just from what we've seen.
But she feels a lot more just like a broken normal human, you know what I mean? Like a little more, and I liked how, I don't know, I like her in the nice suit at the party. Like it was just a nice version of her. She last season felt a little like the what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, sort of the geeky girl. And now she kind of felt like a socialite almost, like running around at that party. And then the way she's climbing around the bridge in her nice suit, I don't know, something about it was just really funny. And like, I loved how she climbed under that banister and the Starfleet officer looked at her like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. She's like, I'm doing something the most efficient way. What are you doing? And I'm a little drunk. Like she's sort of unapologetic in a way that I felt like last season she was not. And I really enjoyed that.
I can see that.
I don't know what has changed in her character. It's been a year and a half. I don't know what has changed in her character that's led her to that, except for getting all that alien stuff out of her brain or whatever.
And see, I really think this was a pretty good, I feel like it was kind of a reboot of the series almost.
Agreed.
But I always love when they pick up after the amount of time they've been away. I like to see and learn where everybody is. That's what I loved that about the old Star Trek movies, how you would come back and like, oh, Chekhov is on this ship. He's on whatever, the Grissom now. And oh, look at this. Spock's over on Vulcan or whatever. It's, you know, and they all have to come back together to solve a problem.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I also love things that pick up right where they left off, like Star Trek 2 through 4 or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
I like both things, but I was expecting more of because of some of the things we'd heard in the news, like hearing that Jurati was going to face consequences for what she'd done, stuff like that. I was kind of expecting like us to open on a trial or something like that, but that's just already happened. It's been a year and a half. They're just jumping in. Yeah,
I'm more interested in whatever emotional consequences she has from that. I don't actually want to see a trial necessarily.
Well, it's already happened.
Like I was kind of like, oh, man, I don't want this season to be that. Please, no.
Right. I wouldn't have minded if it touched on it for a second, but I definitely don't want it to be a large focus. There's just so much to do with Picard, you know? Like, I need the Picard story.
Yeah. I don't need the CW version of this where it's like 2.5 seasons of people like recapping it every week so that we know why this person is angry with the main character. You know, just...
Yeah.
Just get over it.
Yeah. Let's see. Who else? What do you think about Elnor joining the Federation?
That was weird to me.
It felt weird to me too. Yeah, it felt weird to me.
I don't understand. Like, did the Quatmalot go away? Did they? I mean, clearly not, because they're still around in 32nd century.
Well, he was also never really fully accepted as a Quatmalot because he's a male,
a guy.
Yeah, like he was never really one of them. He was always like sort of he followed their tenets, but he wasn't one of them. And so finding a place in the Federation, following in Picard's footsteps makes sense. But it surprised me. A lot of things in this episode surprised me. I expected us just to be back on the ship, right after that battle or on the next adventure. I didn't expect this to feel so. I didn't expect the world to have continued and feel so lived, and I liked it a lot. Yeah.
I love that Picard gave him a book by Spock, The Many and the One. Yeah. That was fun.
It was fun, and it, to me, didn't make the world feel smaller, because that's not only is that Picard's friend, but he's also talking about, the book is about being one of the first Vulcan cadets, and like makes absolute sense why he would hand in that book. It's super cool.
And I love the double meaning of the Stargazer. Look to the stars. We're going back to the Stargazer. Like that's fun, man. That's all really cool. Yeah, that was some tidy writing, I guess, that I enjoyed.
I completely agree, man. I completely agree. The whole thing his mother said to him and how that resonated with what's going on with his character now, I found completely fascinating. In light of that. What was that episode called where he goes back to, I keep wanting to use the episode title, but I'm not remembering. It's like when he goes home. Do you remember?
Family, maybe?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, that whole episode and the way it connects to this and the way, like, they talk in that episode about how, like, he didn't want to be a part of the family and he's running away, he didn't want this life, but connecting that to his, like, sort of abusive mother-father situation and how it connects to his story in All Good Things, how it connects to how he's been running from relationships because he hasn't seen a good example of relationships, and so it's hard for him to connect with that, and I connect personally with that story a lot, and I
do too.
I find that incredibly, I was like, Guinan, yes, please give me advice about love. Yeah, totally felt that.
By the way, did you notice where her bar was?
No. It said Forward Avenue, and it was 10 forward. I get it now.
There you go.
Literally didn't get it till I said it out loud. I literally looked it up online to see if that address existed because it said Forward Avenue Historic District. And I was like, Forward Avenue? I was trying to think is that something from Star Trek or is that something from the real world? So I looked up 10 Forward Avenue on Google. Literally, I Googled it to see if there was on Google Maps to see if that was a place. And it's a live music venue in Ontario. And I was like, I was like, oh, cool. 10 Forward Avenue. Maybe this is like an actual bar that exists or something. And, but no, you're right. It's just 10 Forward. That's very funny. I missed it completely.
Yeah.
I feel real dumb. I, like, especially having tried to solve the puzzle and not not realizing, because I was doing it all in my head. I didn't say it out loud.
That's great.
It's very funny.
I was excited about it, and like it went to the internets, and I was like, "Oh God, it's 10 Forward!" And they were like, I saw that like the internet had been cracked that when that trailer came out because they showed it in the trailer.
Oh, I didn't notice. Yeah,
I was like, "Duh." They're like, "You cracked it, gumshoe."
You cracked it 6 months later.
So don't feel bad, Matt. I'm dumb too.
No. My level of dumb in this situation is way worse because you you just didn't notice there was a puzzle. I noticed the puzzle and then could not solve it. Like, a huge lantern was hung. Like, he stares right at the Forward Avenue, and then it shows the 10. And I was like, 10 Forward Avenue? What does that mean?
I feel like I'm looking at this trailer, and like in the trailer, Picard like smiles and looks at the sign, and I'm just like, he's always kind of like staring off into things, with a smirk and the glassy eyes. He's always got the glassy eyes, making you think like, something's happening here.
Yep, something
important. That's just the way Patrick Stewart is. So I'm just like sitting there going, like, I'm watching the trailer, I'm like, that sounds right. It's probably some French shit. I don't know.
Yeah, there were some words at the beginning of it that weren't very readable, and so I was like, maybe I need to freeze frame that and blow it up later and read it better. But yeah, no, that's totally all it is, and that's very clever and fun. Okay, well, what did you think of the Guinan of it all?
I liked Guinan. I always liked Guinan.
Me too.
I didn't necessarily buy the whole we age to keep up with him. It's dumb, but I'm willing to accept it because she does look very, very different. So
sure, I still think I think because they've sort of aged Picard up a little bit, she still looks like she's aging slower than he is.
Yeah,
so it worked for me. I'm not a big stickler for that stuff anyway, though. I know you are a little more like. When someone changes, you get it changes and they're not supposed to. It annoys you.
Well, I mean,
it's a production thing you can't avoid, I guess.
I mean, I know you can't avoid it, so I don't begrudge them that. I guess I would rather have a lame excuse than no explanation. That
fit perfectly for me. The Ilarians, like, that just seems so up their sort of proverbial alley to be like, yeah, we just decide how old we want to get.
Yeah, which, if she's as powerful and as terrifying as Q has said she is in previous TNG episode, then yeah, I guess she could do that. It's sort of like the Data thing and the Inheritance or whatever it was called when Data's mother was there and LaForge was like, no, she's got an aging chip like Data. And we're like, oh, cool. And then like in every subsequent anything, they disavow that completely and just like, I don't know. Data doesn't age. And I'm like, you said he does.
Yeah.
We see he does.
You already solved this one, guys.
And Brent Spiner's like, I can't keep playing Data because I'm old.
Yeah, that's pretty dumb.
So, yeah, just as long as they keep up with it, remember that they did the thing.
Yeah.
I love that she's, being like, dude, we've never talked about this. What the hell is up with you? Like, for real.
Mm-hmm.
And I like his answer was never in the stars. I like that it was inside. I liked all of that.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And like I said, I connect with his story of, having a parentage that makes you makes it hard for you to envision what love even is supposed to look like, and like needing to run from relationships and needing to stay active, like needing to say the whole thing. It just felt like a very real issue to have emotionally. And I like that as the overall stakes of the season, I feel like are going to be more his emotions and like learning to deal with them, which is great. It's great to have that as an overarching element while we take on this sci-fi adventure, you know?
And it's interesting, you know, we start in the middle of the action on this episode and then we have to go back to the beginning. Course of the season, it looks like we're going to have to like start in the middle and then go back in time to the beginning.
True. Yep.
And we're also doing that literally with Picard thematically, like in his emotional life. Like, starting here, let's go back to the beginning. What happened with your mom, buddy?
Time is the final frontier, as they say. This is going to be the like, you know, looping around on itself. And he also talks about how going back to the Stargazer is like going back to the beginning. It feels full circle. So I think that's definitely a beat us over the head theme this episode. Like, let's go full circle. That's like the whole thing.
But, you know, what's funny is I think people who pay attention to that kind of shit, like me and you, and even more so, people who got the 10 forward thing immediately. We get that shit, but I don't think most people do. Like, general audience, they're just like watching a show. I don't think they care about the themes, and you know what I mean? Like okay, like my sister Ashley, very smart. She's a freaking nurse, very intelligent. She watches TV. She doesn't see that shit. She's just like, so I don't know. It's a show. It was whatever was happening. I was looking at Instagram. Yeah, and then I got up and got my kid a snack.
I feel like people who are watching Picard though are watching for the most part because they're here for it. You know, like most people that are watching this have Paramount Plus for this show. You know,
yeah. By the way, did you notice that he was one of the things that he was studying on his table was the freaking what was it? What was it called? Like the tablet of reckoning or something? Cisco broke it in DS9. It's a Bajoran tablet of reckoning.
Interesting. No,
it is like literally the same thing. It's like on his table. He's got like a big magnifying glass sitting next to it. Like he's been studying it because he's like into the archaeology.
Man, maybe that's what season 3 is going to be about.
Oh my God.
I would love it.
Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great?
If Picard had to like go and whatever. Like maybe he goes to give the final but Bajor joins the Federation in season 3 and he has to go do the final talks as a representative of the Federation, you know, whatever. And then we get to catch up on all the old DS9 crew. That would be really cool. I would really love that.
I don't need all of them. Just one or two.
Right. Whoever it makes sense to still be out there, which, they all live there for so long. It could be any of them, you know?
Yeah. Someone's been, took like a recent picture of Calamini and made up basically a Picard looking poster for him that said, Star Trek O'Brien. And I'm like, oh my God, I would be here for it.
Yeah.
He's like one of my favorite all-time characters from Star Trek, and I just love that actor. I'm like, dude, if we did Star Trek O'Brien, I would just be like head over heels.
Yeah,
I would be so happy.
For sure. He was on the season of Always Sunny, by the way.
I know.
Did you? Oh yeah. Okay.
I don't watch the show, but I saw a trailer and I went, damn it, I got to catch up.
Yep. You're like, dang it, 4 seasons I got to watch or whatever. It was pretty good.
4 seasons, isn't it like 40?
It's like 14. I just didn't know how far you were behind because I knew you used to watch it.
I've watched 5 episodes of season 1.
Oh, really? Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I've seen like a couple of episodes sporadically throughout. Like there's probably 3 or 4 episodes like in different seasons that I've seen. Because Jason, when I lived with Jason, he watched it. Yeah, he would just have it on.
It is great. I've seen every episode, and I don't even. Yeah, it's really good. Really good show. And like the more recent seasons, they've done some things that were just like a little more experimental and interesting. And I've just been very here for it. And it also is just weird and funny.
I did see the one where they were trying to prove how easy it is to get a gun, and they couldn't get a gun because of all of their felonies and misdemeanors.
Yeah, they have an episode where two of them are trying to prove, how easy it is to get a gun. Basically, two are picking the sort of anti-gun and two are picking the pro-gun stance, and then they go out to sort of prove their points, and they both get sort of shut down. like it's really good. Aren't Charlie and Mac just running around like with weapons trying to like protect a school, and they're trying to get them off of the school grounds because they have freaking weapons? I can't remember.
It's some kind of weird shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they just keep trying to find Dennis and Dee just keep trying to find ways of getting a gun, and they just keep like they try to go the legal route, they try to go the illegal route, and someone just takes their money and uses the gun they were going to quote unquote sell them to take the money and then run away.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Good show.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, any other characters we've kind of missed or anything? I mean, we didn't get to Q. We only see him for a second, but I really, really hope that we get a connection. You mentioned it, but between Guinan and Q and the Borg Queen, because we're having an episode that Guinan plays a key part, Q plays a key part, and it's about finding the sort of next evolution of the Borg. I'm like, this has to draw that freaking connection. Come on, I'm gonna be mad if you don't. For those of you who don't remember, we've talked about it on the show before, but in the first appearance of Q, he flings them in front of the Borg, but also for the first time.
It wasn't the first appearance of Q.
Oh no, you're right. That
was Encounter at Farpoint.
Yeah, sorry, first appearance of the Borg is what I meant to say. Q flings them in front of the Borg. And then also in that episode, Guinan and Q have a face-off, where he says that she's an imp and she's very powerful, and he almost seems fearful of her.
He's definitely afraid of her. Yeah,
what does it mean?
Yeah.
We also know that Guinan is most likely. I'm assuming she'll probably appear in the 2000s wherever they're traveling to. Whatever time period they're traveling to, because last time we know she was on Earth in like the 1800s.
Yeah, hanging out with Sam Clemens.
Yeah, so I'm assuming we'll probably get some of her in the past too.
So if she can choose to catch up, can she choose to be young again?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess they'll say that.
I guess they did not say, but could be.
Yeah. So, because if I'm just thinking it's going to be a lot of CGI to try to make her look young again. Like, oh, this was me back in the past. And then she was like, I was married, so I aged, and then I got young again.
Yeah, I don't know.
Either way,
it could just be that she said she controls the speed of her aging. She didn't say the direction, but and honestly, it feels very Elorian to be comfortable with the idea of like, I could have a 2,000-year life, but you know what? I choose that this is going to be the time I'm going to live the rest of mine with my friends or whatever. That kind of feels very Guinan-esque to just be like at peace with like, it's time to age. That's cool. I dig it.
Yeah, I mean, they're friggin' Time Lords, I guess. Maybe that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Let's finally cross it over.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's finally do it, y'all.
What would Guinan's TARDIS be?
The bar.
Yeah, you're right. It would have a riddle on the outside that we just could not solve. But everyone else could.
It was in clear English. Plainly stated.
Okay, well, I guess that's about it. I'm so excited about this season. Maybe like more than I have been. This episode really, last season was good, But every episode, I kind of just felt like I wanted more out of it. And this episode, I do not feel that way. I felt like my expectations were greatly exceeded.
Yeah. And dude, when he wouldn't kiss Laris, I was like, man, I mean, she cute. Okay? Like, do what you gotta do and then suss out your feelings later, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You're like 100. You're not getting a better offer.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. I'm with you, but I love how flawed as a character he is, because I love the conversation with Guinan a little later, and he says, what's the line? Oh, there's a line that's so great. He says something like, you think I am not a brave man, or something like that. And she's like, you've done brave things of a sort. You know, like, you're brave in some areas, but not all. Like,
you're willing to risk your life, but you don't want to open up.
Yeah. She's like, you've risked your life. And he's like, that's a pretty big thing to risk. And he's like, you more than anyone know that there are worse things than death.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, it's just such good writing, man. I love it. Good job, people that are writing this. Just really, really good job. I
was very pleased.
Yeah, I'm floored. I'm like so freaking pumped to cover this. If you're finding us for the first time, this is the first time we've posted on YouTube. So if you're finding us for the first time or whatnot, like, or you just found us because of you're searching Picard right now. We cover Star Trek every week, basically, because they make it every week these days.
Sometimes twice a week.
This week we're getting 2, which is crazy. So a couple days from now, we'll drop a Discovery episode too. If you haven't caught up on Discovery, I know a lot of people kind of fell off after the first season. I talked to a guy in a bar last night, and I mentioned that, I'm going to go home and watch Picard, and he was like, oh, that's back? Cool. I might get Paramount Plus again. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, you should. It's good. And he's like, I watched that Discovery, but I really didn't like how they confused the Kelvin timeline with by having Romulus be destroyed. And I was like, that misconception is still going around by guys in bars. Like, he was like, yeah, that's the Kelvin timeline where the Romulus exploded, not the Prime timeline. I'm like, no, you didn't get it. You didn't get it, and you're not watching a show because you're mad about a thing that you didn't understand. I'm mad at you, sir. I'm like, I said good day and just walked out of the bar.
I would have had to explain it. I would have been like, no, Romulus did get destroyed the Prime timeline.
Oh, I did. I fully did. I joked that I like pulled a Barney Stinson, but no, I was like, actually, sir, let me explain to you why that works and why you should go back and watch 4 seasons of Discovery.
So you can get mad about how quote unquote woke it is, because I know you're totally that guy.
Probably so. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We love you very much. Jolan True.
Live long and prosper.
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.